Okay, so we are going to continue with Unit 6.2, okay? We started this in class for the students who are in my class, and we will divide this into 3 parts as hopefully you will read in an announcement, factoring, using the AC method, combining factoring methods, and then doing word problems. This is the first part, so you're welcome to watch the other parts if that's what you have issues with, or all parts, your choice. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you the handout that we were using in class. So it was something like this, might have been a little different. And for my class, it was in October 2nd. And it just depends, the date might depend. So we looked at greatest common factor, factor by grouping, special cases, factoring a trinomial with a equal to 1. And today we're going to look at this part, factoring a trinomial. Your notes might look different. I may have written ax squared plus bx plus c, and I'll do that on my iPad, when a is not equal to 1. And we will use the AC method. And hopefully you have this, or you can pause and write this down if you don't have it. We will multiply a times c. We will be careful with the signs. We will find 2 numbers that add up to b and multiply to a times c, similar to what we did for trinomial with a equal to 1, but now multiply to a times c. We expand b using numbers that we get from step 2, and hopefully this makes more sense once we see the example. And then we factor by grouping. So this is the example that we will solve. 2m squared plus 7m minus 15, where we can identify from here that a is 2, b is 7, and c is negative 15, okay? So now I will share my iPad and we will see the example, okay? So again, the steps, you know them, or at least that you have them there. So again, if you don't have that handout, make sure that you wrote that down. Am I sharing the, yes, here we go. So again, we will factor a trinomial that looks like this, ax squared plus bx plus c. We will do that when a is not equal to 1. Actually, this is a general case because when it's equal to 1, we follow the same method. It's just that instead of having a times c, we use c. Let me not get into that. So again, the AC method, you have it on your notes, multiply a times c, find 2 numbers that add up to b, and multiply to a times c, expand b, factor by grouping. You have the steps, so let's apply those steps to an example. Roy is right here. Roy is my cat. The example, have 2m squared plus 7m minus 15. The first thing that I want to do is identify what is a, what is b, and what is c. Because it takes me just a few seconds. I'm going to write it down instead of having to look it up each time so I don't mess up the sign. Okay, so I have 2, 7, and negative 15. I'm going to follow the steps. The first step, step 1, highlighting is unnecessary because I don't like that color. If you're in my class, you know how I am, right? Step 1, we want to multiply a times c. So a times c from step 1 applied to this example is negative 30. That's step 1. Excellent. Now let's look at step 2. According to your notes, I would ask you in the classroom, what is step 2 according to your notes? There's a cat. Step 2, find 2 numbers. So I'm going to find 2 numbers. Nikki, stop it. Find 2 numbers that add up. Numbers that add up to b. So apply to this example is add up to 7 and multiply to negative 30. Oh no, this is fun because we have negative, okay? So I can start thinking of numbers. I'm going to do a different color here. What numbers can I see here that can add up to 7 multiplied to negative 30? For me, it's easier to find multiples of negative 30 and see if it works out, but you can look at, numbers that add up to 7. So I'm going to think of numbers that multiply to negative 30. I have negative 6 and 5. They don't add up to 7. I have negative 2 and 15. They don't add up to 7 either. Not even if I change the sign, negative 15 and 2. Let's see, what about negative 10 and 3? Oh, this adds up to negative 7. So you know what? What if I try 3 and negative 10? That's the same thing, my bad. Oop. That did not work out the way I wanted. 10 and -3. Now these two, they add up to 7. So the blue, what you see in blue there is me trying to figure out those two numbers. So I found those two numbers as 10 and -3. Okay, that will be my step 2. Step number 3. For step number 3, I want to expand B, looking at our notes, reading straight from the notes, expand B using numbers from last step, from step 2. So then I have my equation, I want to scroll up, I have 2m squared. And now B times X, or in this case, B times M. I have 10 and -3. So I have 10m minus 3m. This is what I get from that step 2. Okay, I'm just expanding that. That is still equal to 7m, like the original problem, minus 15. And now I can factor by grouping, which is my step number 4. Step number 4, I want to go back to green. Is it the same green? Yeah, pretty similar. I factor by grouping, so 2m squared plus 10m. I find the greatest common factor, 2m. I have m plus 5. Yeah, and then I have, on this other side, I gotta be careful, include that negative. I have minus 3. I have m plus 5, and that is from this group over here, okay? Now I know what's common between those two, m plus 5. And I multiply that by 2m minus 3, and I just solved my problem using the AC method, okay? Hopefully, between all the examples, we don't add up to more than 15 or 20 minutes, so please let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for watching. And then I stop recording.